where do I fall on the Kinsey scale? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Where would I be without my sexual trauma? Probably in the exact same place with a lot less fear.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Made It Out. Today we are in Connecticut. Matilda and I have been in New York for Pride. We've been with some good friends of ours, and we said, let's go to Connecticut and decompress and record a podcast for you guys. So I'm here with a very good friend of mine who is just so lovely and beautiful and talented, impressive. And she has a lot to say today on finding her queer identity after sexual trauma. So we're going to get into it.
Let's dive on it, baby.
Yes. Welcome, Kathryn Gallagher.
Hi, Mal.
Hey.
It's so fun.
I know who you are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of our listeners do. But for those few who don't, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Kathryn. We'll start there. I am a musician and I act, and a lot of people know me from musicals. But if you don't like musicals, you know, I did a couple shows on TV and here and there. And I don't know, mostly I'm your friend right now. like, what do I do? Who am I?
What did you grow up hearing about queer people, like in your family and around you?
Well, I grew up on Broadway because my dad was in the theater. So I knew all about gay men. My mom was dancing in drag clubs when she was younger. Like, I knew so much. And also, both of my parents lost, 80% of their friends due to AIDS growing up in New York City and being on Broadway and dancing. And so I grew up hearing so much about the gay community. But I never heard about gay women.
I literally was just going to ask.
Oh, never. I didn't even know about it.
Ugh.
I thought like gay women were like, I thought there was like one in every city. And she had short hair. And she, it was like the archetype of like a gay woman that was on like a 90s sitcom. Like that's what I thought. I remember when like Britney and Christina and Madonna all had that like kiss on stage. And I was like, I've never seen two girls kiss.
Yeah.
Like it blew my mind. But even then I didn't think of that as something that was gay. I was like, guys must love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
isn't that crazy?
Girls were kissing in our like content growing up for guys.
Yeah.
So I still didn't think of that as something that was tied to love or relationships.
Yeah, because it was almost like performative.
Yeah. It was like, if you want to turn on a guy, kiss your friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do that for them.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So you were dating
all
guys
boys
growing up.
Yeah. It's so funny. I really was so boy crazy. I was like, which is so classic. I was so boy crazy. I always had a crush on someone that was way out of my league. Like, respectfully to myself. I aimed high. And I think now looking back on it, there's something, if you want what you can't have, you never have to deal with having it. And I'm sure there was something, I was very, very, very insecure. And a lot of my sort of like bullies of my younger years, they were all boys. So I think there was some sort of validation that I was constantly seeking from men, that I was like, if I get the most beautiful, shiniest guy, then nobody bullied me when I was 13. I was like, it's like trauma math. I don't know. But I look back on my youth and I think like, God, I wish someone told me to like myself.
Yeah.
I was so begging. It was like in every interaction I had before the age of 30, which is how old I am right now. LOL. I feel like every interaction I had was like, do you like me yet?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I like me.
Right.
If you do, that's awesome. We should hang out.
Right.
But if you don't, there's so many other people in the world. And when every question you ask has an undertone of, do you like me yet? You are never going to be able to find out what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And
your headspace is somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I felt so insecure in those days that I have no idea what I liked.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm sorry, there's a man paying attention to me. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm supposed to want.
Right.
But I don't remember ever like really wanting to kiss him.
Right.
Now that I look back on it and I know what it's like to really want to kiss someone, I'm like, oh, I don't actually know.
Yeah.
If I ever wanted to.
It does seem like there's this extreme of like either you don't
Yeah.
even fuck with guys at all.
Yeah.
Or it's like you kind of go the opposite way and are boy crazy, because that's how I was too. Like when I came out, my whole family was like, wait, what? Like,
yeah.
but I was truly doing the full show. Like I was moving in with these guys.
Oh,
like,
whoa.
yeah, I mean,
Did you feel like you were performing, or did it feel real?
I mean, it's hard to say, because now looking back, I'm like, oh, like clearly this was just me really trying to fit the mold of what I was supposed to be, or like some sort of validation seeking, maybe not even from the guys themselves, but from the world, especially because the world I was living in was so heteronormative. Like being in Texas, it was like, oh, well, all my friends are like having babies at 23, 24 and like, you know, really trying to lock it down. So like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
And if I was in a situation where I had a choice, I was going to make the wrong choice. I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't in tune enough to be like, okay, like, do I want to have sex with you? It was like, oh, you want to have sex with me? I'm going to have sex with you.
Yeah. It's
no
like,
thought.
You think I'm worthy.
Yep.
I needed that. Thank you.
Yep. And then here, I'll give it to you.
Here's your gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for thinking I'm worthy of attention.
Yeah.
It's really, it's
sad.
Yeah.
If I would have been fully in my body, fully able to make conscious decisions, I would have made different decisions.
Oh, 1000%. It's also really interesting that, you know, I think how we're raised. I remember hearing a million people say like, well, I mean, of course, sometimes it's just easier to sleep with them than to, you know, leave or say no. And, you know, I think like even when you do say no, you're not guaranteed to be listened to. Like, you know, I remember when I was 21 and sort of the, you know, foundation of my character research for Jagged Little Pill, I suppose. You gotta make it light, you know. You gotta make it light. That's how you know it hurts. I think that I remember saying no very clearly.
Yeah.
And saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have sex with you. And he said, what's the difference? And well, when he already was, when it was already in progress. And I remember thinking, if I change my mind right now, this doesn't have to be my story. Mm-hmm. I don't have to be someone that this happened to if I change my mind right now. And so I did.
You convinced yourself that you wanted it.
And I, for about almost 2 years, I believed that. But my body was having a different response. I was having panic attacks when I never had before. I was not sleeping. I was really not intimate with anyone for a year or 2 years even. I really had no vocabulary, though, for understanding what was happening because I had rejected the cause.
Right.
And so it wasn't until I finally was in therapy one day. It was twofold. I was in therapy and I was telling the story in a sort of, you know, nonchalant way about this thing that happened, you know, to my therapist. And she goes, do you know what this was? That was, you know, I hate saying the word, but that was what it was. And second was an episode of Law & Order SVU. There was a survivor of domestic abuse, and she said, well, if he loved me, he loves me, so he would never do that to me. Mm-hmm. And it sort of clocked to me how, you know, I kept talking to this guy. And in my mind, if it happened again by my choice, then it would negate the fact that the first time it wasn't.
Right.
And I could rewrite it. I could, you know, like edit the story a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because I was sort of in the midst of developing and taking the show to Broadway called Jagged Little Pill, mm-hmm. where my character goes through this sexual assault. And, you know, it's a very intimate and in-depth performance of both that assault and the description of it. It went in an intense way into that storyline. And I think that my understanding of my own story and how that sort of wove its way into my life and into my sexuality and into my understanding of my sexuality became sort of very outlined and very intertwined in sort of everything in regards to my own relationships. And so it was sort of like the moment I was ready to acknowledge and put all the pieces together that felt, I was never an anxious person. I'd never had a panic attack before until this happened. So many things felt out of whack. And then I started understanding it all at once. The moment I was able to, the moment I had enough space, the moment my brain felt safe enough to handle it, my body acknowledged it.
Because we convince ourselves of a different story and we believe the lie.
Yeah.
I recently had a memory come about, and it's so interesting how you just don't associate with these things. You know how the conversation comes up, like, have you ever had a threesome? What do you think about threesomes? Especially like
never
in
have
the
I
queer
ever.
world. Yeah. Like, we're talking about these things, It's a more open lifestyle. You're like, oh, what are you into? Whatever. And I'm a pretty like open person.
Yeah.
But I've always been I've had an aversion to threesomes. I'm like, ew, no, I won't. I don't judge your kink, but like,
Not for me.
Not for me.
Yeah.
And Matilda had asked me, like, have you ever had a threesome? And I was like, no, I've never.
Yeah.
And then we were in a conversation one day and a memory came back, and it was of when I was on Craigslist searching for women, like, to hook up with women and to kind of explore my sexuality when I was young.
Pre-Hinge, pre-Raya,
pre-dating app. You're on Craigslist.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
Craigslist was a website. Now a website is like an app on your computer. They're going to be like, stop patronizing us. Sorry, Gen Z. I didn't mean it.
Gen Z could never even understand what I'm talking about. But yes, somehow we were on Craigslist.
Somehow we've become archival.
Women seeking women.
Women seeking women.
And so I think I was like 18 and I was going to have an interaction with a girl to try to figure out I was clearly after something.
Yeah.
And it's really late at night. It was after I was working at a bar at the time. It was like 2 a.m. And I show up at this apartment to meet this woman, and it's a woman and her boyfriend. And I remember going into...
Which you did not know.
No, it definitely was not as advertised. And so I remember walking into the apartment. I remember that it was the girl and the guy. And I remember going into the room with the girl. And then like a couple minutes later, the guy showing up in the bedroom. And I cannot for the life of me recall anything that happened after this. Oh, God. But the fact that I can't remember it tells me that, I probably know what happened.
Your brain is protecting you from something.
Yes. Yeah. And I could not tell you what they look like. I couldn't tell you who these people are because it was like this weird Craigslist interaction.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is I have an intense fear of men. Like
Was that the first, is it like since that moment you felt that?
I think so, because I don't remember I was 18. I had sex with maybe 2 guys before that. And I grew up with a great dad. I don't know. Like I had no reason to fear men in that way. Right. But now I do have just like this intense fear of men. And the thing is after that interaction, I think I just completely put it out of my mind. Yeah. And I sought out really bad men, so it was kind of like all the interactions I did have with men after that kind of supported this narrative of like men are bad. So I don't think I then did myself any favors,
Right.
you know?
You're like, let me test the theory.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, at that point, probably, I was thinking, like, well, now my body is damaged.
Yeah.
Or something.
That is, I remember saying that to someone once, just thinking like, well, I have this thing about me that like, there's this part of me that's broken. And I didn't realize I felt that way until I found myself saying it out loud. Hearing you say that is like, and I'm looking at you and I'm like, damaged? The fuck?
Yeah.
How can some piece of shit who snuck his way into your life make you feel damaged?
Yeah. But that's what's so crazy too. In that vein is like, I don't think that guy
He has no idea.
thinks he did anything wrong. No. Or that couple. Or certainly that woman.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like, oh, this is just something that we do for fun.
Yeah.
And like also for years until very, very recently when I felt safe enough or my body felt in a place where like, okay, we can let this memory in.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that what they did was wrong. And that's a larger discussion about, you know, the things that are going on. But I don't think it's so black and white of like these incidences. Like it's not always some raging, violent person that pins you down. And, you know, is insidious the right word? I don't know. I don't even know. It's like
I think it's like it's not always on purpose. It's not always intentional. It's not always sometimes it's just I think every single event is different. And I think, you know, for me, I'm like I think that he has no idea. I'm happy that way. I've made my peace with it.
right.
I don't know what good would come from anything else. We spend a lot of time teaching young women how they should behave, and we don't spend a lot of time teaching young men how to have a conversation. It's more like we teach women that they're property, and we teach men that if they don't, you know, get girls, then they're not a man. And we teach women that if they're not wanted by guys, they're not worthy of anything. And I do think, honestly, one of the beautiful things about coming out and about like experiencing your queerness is I got to relearn what my worth was. Because if I thought I was only worthy if a man found me attractive, and now all of a sudden I don't need a man to find me attractive.
Right.
I'm like, well, what do I like wearing?
Totally.
Why don't I try that on for size? How do I think I look beautiful? How do I feel beautiful?
It's such a liberation of energy. You get so much back.
It's like, you know, we were joking about the queer glow up the other day. And it's like, I got so much hotter.
Yeah.
Not much changed, but I got a lot hotter.
Yeah.
And I just think so much of that is answering to yourself for a change and figuring out what feels good, not what's supposed to look good.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do. It's like we're already living on the outskirts. We're already the big bads of the far right. So it's like, well, fuck it. What are some more rules I can break?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How do you think this experience of sexual trauma manifested in your body?
Well, a lot of different ways. In the beginning, it was just dissociating. My brain has to go somewhere else or I might panic.
You know, it's so interesting because I've said this on this podcast before. I struggle with a strap. And it's because when I was having sex with men, I would dissociate.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was just because I was a lesbian. But now I'm piecing together in my head that it might have been because of this experience.
And then the other interesting thing was, and I find this just to be fascinating about the human body, it becomes physically painful. And I thought there was maybe something else going on. I didn't know, and I did research into it, and your body actually knows that there was something that hurt it, and it says, we don't want that coming in. So it creates, you stub your toe and the pain that you feel, someone is smarter than me is going to tell me I'm explaining this wrong. But from what I understand, you feel pain so that your body knows you're injured, so that you don't do that again.
Right.
And so my body, from what I understand, this is a fairly common thing, feels physical pain because it was injured and it doesn't want me to get injured anymore.
Wow.
And so at first it was just dissociating and it was like, let's get through this alive, baby. And then it was like, whoo, don't do this anymore, And I think so often we treat traumas like mental things. Like we got our heart broke, and you'll get over it someday. But the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
Your body remembers every single feeling. Mm-hmm. And until you release it, until you find a way to unlock the cage, it's going to start manifesting in physical ways because there's no difference. If you get injured, you feel pain and your body wants to protect itself. One of the comments that happened a lot on social media when I started I love where this question is going. Why don't we bring in the L chat and see what they have to say? They love me there. I need to call my therapist. I'll be right back. Sorry. Okay. Continue.
When I started talking about my sexuality online, a lot of the comments were like, who hurt you? You've been hurt by men. Yeah. And that's why you're gay.
Yeah.
And it's like sensitive talking about these things when you are a queer woman who has had sexual trauma because you don't want to feed into that narrative. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
It's so funny. It is one of the reasons I was like, I actually don't know if I want to talk about this because for me, what is so clear is that I like women.
Yeah.
End of story. I like women. I like hanging out with them. I like going on dates with them. I like kissing them. Like girls are pretty.
Yes.
Like point blank. But there's the part of me that really doesn't understand my dynamic with men because I don't know how to enjoy intimacy with a man.
Right.
And so it is defining what I am is ultimately confusing.
Right.
I think I'll always have a question mark around what my life with men would look like if that hadn't happened to me.
Yeah.
But what I have always felt and what has always been true is that I've always believed that for me, you're gonna end up with the people you're supposed to end up with. And for me, the only people in my life I've ever been in love with have been women.
Yeah.
So if I'm just looking at the data, entirely divorced of trauma, of anything, the people that I've imagined a life with and kids with and a family with and retiring with, those have been women.
Yeah.
And when it comes to identity and sexual trauma, they're two totally separate conversations. And the only question mark I still have for myself is a version of my life if that night never happened.
Yeah.
And I'll never know that. Do I know that I've had super legitimate crushes on guys? Hell yeah. They've been a blast. I cried over my last breakup. I wrote a lot of breakup songs. 100%. Do I feel like that is, man, that's the person I'm supposed to be with? No.
Yeah.
Where do I fall on the Kinsey scale? Who fucking knows?
Yeah.
Where would I be without my sexual trauma? Probably in the exact same place with a lot less fear.
Right.
I
find that so relatable because
Good.
when I finally started listening to myself and dating women, because clearly if I was on Craigslist, I've known this for many years.
Aware.
The woman thing is not negotiable for me. But having this memory come back up that happened when I was 18.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like actually I can't definitively say what I would think without this either. Because I did date men and I did sleep with men. So I don't know. Like I identify as gay. I have no interest in men,
Yeah.
but also I do have an intense fear of men. And I didn't even become conscious of my fear of men until recently. Like really, we
How did you? What was the discovery?
we got massages. Matilda called massage
Congratulations. Okay, brag. Okay, brag.
Okay, we had these massage. You know, it's like an app where you can be like
soothe.
Yeah, soothe.
I also get massages.
Okay. You bitch. Throw me under. Okay, so we order these massages off this app.
Yes.
And Matilda doesn't specify gender.
Okay.
So this guy shows up and sets up in our bedroom. And I think I went first. And the entire time,
Oh no.
I had my cell phone in my hand, like, you know, your little face is in the hole.
Yeah.
And my cell phone was in my hand with like my hand on the like screen just so I could like dial if I needed to or like text if I needed to. Matilda's in the other room. We are in our home. This is a safe space. Like nothing is going to happen, but it's me and this man alone in this room. And my mind is running wild of all the bad things that
could happen. Yeah.
And like the entire way through the massage, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be doing like maybe I should just tell him. But I also like that's like what we're raised. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna be nice. I'm just gonna finish this. Like,
well, you don't want to be a difficult woman.
Yeah.
Can't be that.
So I finished this entire fucking massage with my phone in my hand, like not able to relax.
Famously not relaxing.
Not relaxing at all.
No.
And so from then on, I don't get male masseuses anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it has to be a female. But that really, like I told Matilda about that and she was like, that is not like there's something there. That's not
there's something to investigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is when I really became aware of like, whoa, something is
happening.
Yeah. And clearly that was like a step on my way to remembering and unlocking this memory. And so things are being revealed to me.
Well, it sounds like you're ready to move through them and to, you know, discover and to let it go. I mean let it go feels so like, let it go, Mal.
Yeah.
Let it go. Okay, trauma, repressed trauma, let it go. But it is like, the only way out is through is one of my favorite quotes. And it is sort of like, you can't really be released of something until you understand it. Mm-hmm. And I think you can't understand something you're not ready to understand.
Right.
And so it sounds like your body is like, oh, we feel safe right now.
Yep.
It's like that thing that they say if you get tired around someone a lot, it's because you feel safe around them.
Yeah.
It's sort of like you're in a safe place in your life. And so you're like, oh, I actually do have the capacity to understand this.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's kind of says a really beautiful thing about where you're at in your life right now.
Yeah.
I think that's really special.
You know, it's like the dust settles, you get into a good place, and then it's like,
oh, for fucking
shit
real.
Comes knocking on the door.
You're like, finally, my life is good. And it's like, we've been thinking about that. It's like, what the fuck? It's so real.
Yeah. So if I seem a little sad and emotional, I'm working through some shit with Andrea on Mondays.
18-year-old Mal is like, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
But it's true. You know, it's really, we get these younger versions of ourselves get frozen, I think, inside of us. And it's like, the witch in Rapunzel, right? She loves her daughter so much that she keeps Rapunzel up in she is her daughter, yes, yeah. Depends on the story, I suppose. Disney
the
fans are gonna be like, what the fuck? That's not true. I'm like, I'm thinking of Into the Woods. I don't know. The witch keeps Rapunzel up in the tower to keep her safe.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we keep our younger hurt selves up in the tower to keep them safe, when what we actually need to do is be like, okay, now you have to come back down here with the rest of us. And you have to learn that the world is scary and will hurt you, but you can handle it.
Yeah.
And that is hard and scary and requires bravery. And also you can't do it until you're ready. You can't do it until you know the world is safe enough to come back down and, you know, incorporate this scared part of you with the rest of you. And that is, once you do it, once you're in the process of doing it, I think I'm close to the tail end of that process, which is nice. You find so many more rooms in your house. You know, you do feel the world get a little bit brighter. And also, the scary things, you feel so much more capable of handling them because you've done it before. And so we got to keep ourselves safe, but we also, part of being safe is knowing how strong you are and marrying those two things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not safe to be hiding away from the world either.
I think you're brought to the right conversations at the right time. And I think, like, this is so helpful.
I love you. We always cry when we hang out.
I know. It's really but as someone who's like starting the acceptance of that, talking to someone who has already dealt with it, you know, it's like, wow, you're always given what you need when you need it, you know?
You really are.
And it's, there's a part of it that, though it's like daunting, it's also like, God damn, it's exciting because it's like, who can I be on the other side of fear and things that I've been avoiding? And there's many things that I've been avoiding that I see in you. And I feel like the universe gives you mirrors.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful to have these conversations.
Much.
I love you too.
Kidding.
I wasn't expecting that.
Well, honestly, what's happening right now is what you give to so many people at home. Like the love and self-acceptance and awareness and conversation that you give every single person that listens to your podcast that never has heard stories like this before, that's never had an outlet, that's never had any intel, that was like me back in, 2001 when I thought there was one lesbian in every city. It's like one very lonely lesbian in every city. It's really like it's about damn time that you feel like there's exciting parts of you that are opening up, because you give that gift to people all the time. Not even on your podcast. I've seen you do it in your real life with everyone you meet.
Oh, wow. What advice do you have for someone like me who is starting to go through the process of kind of unpacking some of these experiences?
Don't force it. Like, there's gonna be a time in your life when you know it's ready to unpack it, and you don't have to rush it. You don't. I just think you have to trust your body and your brain. There's a million different ways to heal. There's going to be a million different people telling you a million different roads, and yours is different. And it's going to be, and it should be, because you're a different person than everyone else. Everyone else is coming to the table with a different set of experiences, different family dynamics, different homes, different safe spaces, different experiences with therapy, different types of therapy that work for everybody. So if you compare your journey to healing to anyone else's, you're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel broken. You're going to feel, I did for so long, because I was like, well, I did everything. I'm in therapy. I figured it out. I fixed it. I'm better, but I wasn't, because my body, my brain, whatever, wasn't ready. And meanwhile, I'm going to be surprised by the ways in which it shows up later in my life, or tomorrow, or in 5 minutes. I have no idea. So judging yourself for not doing it the way someone else said you should is just going to make you frustrated and not progressing. So just trust that, like, try and listen to yourself. Try therapy. Try, for me, the most therapeutic thing, I mean, I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy on and off since I was 12. But the most therapeutic thing I can do is go for a long walk and listen to music. That's when I think the most, and that's when I feel the best. But that's not for everybody. Everyone is different. So I think you just got to try and decide you want to be better and you want to heal that. You know, if I want help in healing anything, I find that the answers get given to me. And so just keep your eyes open and, you know, don't judge yourself and talk about it with your friends and the people you trust and people you love. Because I think people are more receptive and more, most people can hold a lot more than we think. And also know you're never a burden on anyone. And yeah, don't judge yourself. It's a process.
You're going to be on speed dial the next year.
Yes. I'm like, fuck, Mal again. Mal, we hung up 3 minutes ago. But also, like, yeah, call me all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And it takes the road it takes. And you don't really get a say in what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
You know? I think. But also, what the fuck do I know? I'm a fucking actor. Like, don't listen to me. Like, fuck, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. How special.
I really was.
Okay.
My last question is, what are you working on in therapy?
You know what? What I'm working on in therapy right now is trusting that things can be good. You know? I've never been in a good relationship. I've never been with someone that hasn't lied to me in a pretty intense way. I've never been in something that's felt like inherently good. And so I don't know how to trust it. And so that's what we're working on.
How do you do that? What's the practical?
Well, my therapist said something to me very interesting the other day. She said, when I said something, I was like, yeah, I mean, I feel really great right now. I'm sure that won't last. And she goes, why? And I was like, well, you know, they never do. Like, good times never last. You know that. And she goes, okay, fine. If you're going to believe that, then you have to believe the inverse when you're sad, that those times never last. So if everything is always going to change, then why not enjoy the moment you're in?
Yeah.
If you're going to be sad when you're going to be sad, then you might as well be happy when you're happy. And I think just not questioning it. Like, being happy, being purely joyful is rare. It just is. That's why we chase it. That's why we spend our whole lives chasing this thing, because it is rare. And I think if we expect to just be happy all the time and be joyful all the time, we're going to be upset, because it's not a sustainable emotion.
Yeah.
So when you feel it, when you're in a moment and you're like, holy shit, this is good, capture it.
Yeah.
Like, really be in it, because it will go away.
Yeah.
And the next moment might be boring, and then it might be devastating, but it'll be happy again.
It's a presence practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I have that habit of thinking, if I make everything in my life just good.
Yeah.
Like, if like I'm in a good relationship and I have a good career and, you know, money's right and family's right, then I think nothing bad will ever happen again.
Right.
But then you miss the journey. You miss life because you're too focused on this, like, end goal that is never something's always going to be off, you know?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And we, you know, if work is going badly, you need friends and family to be going well.
Right.
Like, you do need that balance.
Right.
Because if everything's going to be good at the same time, then everything's going to be shit at the same time. And that can't happen.
Yes.
That is not good.
I had a boss that said that to me once. There's 4 corners of your life, and it's like your spirituality, your mental and physical health, your family, and your career.
Yeah.
And if one isn't going right, if you focus on
Yeah.
2 other pillars, then usually the others go up, but then the others kind of fall.
Yeah.
So you always have to kind of keep, life is spinning plates.
Yeah, it is. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Like, how lucky are we to get the privilege of having all of those things to even spin?
Yeah.
You know, I think anytime I get too down, you know, which happens, I'm a dramatic person. Anytime I get too down, I remember, like, you know, I always say, like, well, how lucky am I to be missing someone? How lucky am I? I think about it with grief a lot, you know. How lucky am I to have had that experience with that person? And I've been given such a beautiful life. And the fact that my life has been so beautiful has been what's given me the tools to handle the parts that are complicated.
Yeah.
Because no life is without complications.
Yeah.
I've been given a great fucking life. I'm so lucky. I'm counting my fucking blessings every day. And so I think that one of the responsibilities you have when you have the ability to say something like, I've been given a great fucking life, is to actually, something Mariska said to me a couple years ago. She said, the last step in healing is passing on what you've learned. And sorry if I butcher that, Mariska, but it was something like that. And I remember where we were when you said it. But I think that's true. It's like, you know, when you've got so many good things happening, that just means you can handle it when it rains. When your house has a good roof, you can handle a storm.
Yeah.
And so you spend your time not trying to throw a big party every day. You spend your life building a strong foundation for your house. And that way, when it storms, you can handle it. And that way, when it's sunny, you can go out on your porch and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think.
That's
I
beautiful.
hope.
I love this.
We're doing a lesbian podcast right now. Say hi to the lesbians.
Oh, I love lesbians.
Okay, we play a game. It's called You Haul or You Ghost.
I'm very familiar. I'm a huge fan.
Okay, she's perfect in every way except
Oh, no.
her favorite song,
Oh.
listens to it all the time, loves it, is constantly humming it, is the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, I find that endearing. I do. I mean, how wholesome.
Very hard song.
It's a very hard. Yeah, is she good at it? That's even more endearing. I don't know. If she's riffing all over it, trying to show off all the time, I'd be like, relax. And it's a U-Haul.
You Haul. I think that's a You Ghost for me. I do not like that song very much. Oops, sorry. Actually,
It's a beautiful tune.
actually can't stand the song, so for me, I'm
sick.
no. I'm dipping.
I'm going to
out.
program your alarm in your phone just in the Star Spangled Banner.
What
the fuck?
Getting
Set
rid of my
random
phone.
alarms throughout the day.
Force Mel
Haunt
to
you with
like Star
patriotism.
Spangled. Not in this climate.
People start making assumptions. Yeah, I thought she was an advocate for the queer community. I don't know.
Turns out she's always singing
Have you
Star
heard her
Spangled Banner.
ringtone? It's a Star Spangled Banner. Maybe it's ironic. I don't think it's
That's actually really funny.
That's a great prank, honestly.
Okay.
Anyway, yes.
She's perfect in every way.
Okay.
Except for she shows up to the date wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Kathryn, you're thinking too long. A Hawaiian shirt?
I think my gut instinct says things that is a ghost. But then perfect in every way. I don't know. Hawaiian shirts imply that she's not perfect in every way. And I would ghost.
I'm ghosting. I can't do the Hawaiian shirt.
That it
We're
just
at like a
implies
sexy
something.
bar. Hawaiian shirt.
I'm gonna ghost.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna ghost.
Wow,
I
this
feel
is kind
so
of
mean.
brutal.
I feel so mean right now. So mean.
I do too. I'm the one that's like, no, go.
Oh, I feel pretty mean, but I think so. Yeah.
Okay, this one. What if she hates musicals?
It's a ghost.
Ghost.
That's a ghost.
But I bet there's so many people listening right now that are haters on
They should
musicals.
learn something about where they come from
Do you know my theory
A
about
country built on musicals.
not the Star Spangled Banner, musicals?
Exactly. You know what? I gotta say something though. If you hate musicals, you just haven't found the right one. I really believe that.
This is what me and Matilda were talking, because we were in the car. This is how this came about. We had just left a musical, and we're like, how could you hate musicals? And here's my theory.
You hate joy.
Kind of, yes, same line. I think if you hate musicals, there's something in you that can't let go.
Yes.
And like experience something fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think if you hate musicals, I can prove you wrong.
Examine yourself.
I can prove you wrong. Yeah. I think I fully believe I can find a musical you'll like. That I take that as a challenge, but I can.
Wow.
I can do that.
Your DMs are going to be.
Yeah. I can slide on in. I'll be responding like, do you know who Stephen Sondheim is? And have you seen Company? Gender bend.
Okay. This one's going to be controversial. What if they kiss their parents on the mouth?
As an adult.
As an adult.
I'm ghosting.
This is bizarre.
I'm out.
I mean, that's such a ghost.
I'm out. Respectfully.
But what's the cutoff age to kiss your parents on the mouth?
You know.
I don't remember doing that.
Birth? I don't know. I just grew up. I think it's like whatever you rock and roll with. I didn't grow up. I grew up in a house that like we'll give each other a great hug and then a high five. And like, I'm Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
We're not even supposed to kiss anybody on the lips. Like, I'm still feeling shame about my first kiss. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't remember ever doing that. It's like a kiss on the cheek and a hug.
I think it's whatever you grow up getting used to. My parents have never even come close.
Yeah. Matilda says it's a cultural thing and Americans do that and it's weird.
It's American.
Matilda says it's an American thing. Yeah, she says Europeans don't. Yeah, she's shaking her head. She's like, Europeans do not do that. They are reading us in Europe for this exact thing.
Yeah, they're reading us. They're reading us. Oh, cheers. Cheers. Oh, let's go on a walk.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I love and adore Kathryn, and I truly enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too. Please leave your feedback in the comments. And find Kathryn at Kathryn Gallagher. Find the podcast at Made It Out Podcast. Find me at Mal Glowinky. This episode was produced and edited by Matilda Jordan and worked on solely by lesbians.
Looking for true love. What are your love languages? Shut up. Eat my ass.